Good afternoon, everybody. This is Eric with American Business Systems, wanting to welcome you this afternoon on this Wednesday afternoon. I'll be one of your co-hosts for talking to you why ABS is superior, really over any other medical billing training opportunities that are out there or other training companies that are out there. Again, my name is Eric Auger. I'll be helping co-host this webinar for you this afternoon. Larry says, great, can hear you just fine. I appreciate that. Let me tell you a little bit about American Business Systems. ABS has been around for over 27 years now. Obviously, it's an exciting company to be a part of, and you're going to want to be a part of the American Business Systems family, not just a company, but the family. They've been a family for me for the last 13, 14 years, and I certainly appreciate everything that Adam and Patrick and the rest of the Phillips team family has done for us, and it's good to be able to continue to keep supporting them and helping them out with some webinars. We're going to share a little bit about the platform, the overall platform that you would be utilizing as an ABS licensee or an ABS business owner. Folks, this is an award-winning platform. I'm not going to give away all the secrets, but it's one that you can use in the cloud. We're going to talk a little bit about that throughout the presentation today and why that's really superior than trying to do it off of a server. So we'll get into that a little bit later. Obviously, we have several different service lines that we'll talk to you about this afternoon, and we'll talk about each of these in some way, form, or fashion. So let me tell you about who my co-host is. Patrick Phillips is the founder of American Business Systems. He and his wife, Linda, were the ones that kind of got all this kicked off here. And not only is Patrick the founder, but he's certainly become a dear friend over the years. He's written several books. One of the ones we'll talk about this afternoon is one of the latest ones called The New Thriving Medical Practice. We're actually going to show you how you can utilize that particular book in your marketing. So be ready to ask some questions about that. He's a prolific writer because he writes for not only for books, articles, but he does some for what's called the BC Advantage magazine. So he's on the editorial board there. And so, folks, really, without any further ado, we got so much to cover. I'm going to get Patrick on here. So, Patrick, join us. Come on. There you are.
Hey, I'm ready.
Good.
Let's go. All right, folks. Put out the cat.
Yep.
Smash your phone with a hammer. Do whatever you can to just focus on what we're going to talk about today, because guys, if you're looking at starting a business, you're not going to believe the potential that's in this business, helping doctors collect the money that they have already earned from the insurance companies and Medicare and people like that. That's what we've been doing for 27 years here at ABS, and helping hundreds of people from coast to coast to do that too. So, Eric, you've put together a great presentation today. Why are we superior, by the way? I've been wondering that myself.
Oh my goodness. Well, the lives actually that, you've helped not only for the ABS licensees, business owners. I mean, obviously there's so many that you've helped change their lives, but really whenever it gets down to the reason that their lives are changed is because you're changing the lives of the doctor. You're making sure that they have revenue coming in. You've got different revenue streams that you can provide to these doctors. And as you're going to see, it goes far beyond just what we think of as medical billing.
Oh yeah, way beyond that. In fact, that's why we when we train people, we have an organization called MyRMA. We'll talk about it a little bit later. They certify everybody who goes through our training as certified medical revenue managers. That is, you help manage the whole revenue cycle there in the doctor's office. And it's very simple. It's a very simple business, Eric, but people just have to have a system, and they have to have the right tools. And we've just put that together all in one package, kind of. We call it, it's a not franchise. It's no franchise, but it's like a franchise. It has a fee up front, like we call it a licensing fee, that basically gets you all the materials, all the training, all that you need, and lifetime support for a one-time fee of about $28,000. Now, if that's a shock to any of you that's on the webinar, you haven't gone to our website that's there at the bottom of the screen. Am I pointing at the bottom of the screen, you think, Eric? I don't know.
Yeah.
And you should go check us out. It's all there as to why it's a fee. It's like a franchise fee. But once you've paid that, that's a one-time fee. Man, you've got our system for the rest of your lives. We've had people, Eric, I interview people all the time that have been with us 15 years, and they're still running the business and making money and just keeping it as small as they want or building it as large as they want. So
that's right. Well,
But you can.
when we I was going to say to kind of get some things going. Everybody knows who Inc. magazine is, and obviously they put out some different articles, and they put out one what makes a good opportunity, a business opportunity. And they said that when you evaluate a business concept, use the three M's before you get your startup here. So obviously the first one is me, marketing, and money. Or those are the three M's there. So you need to really kind of know, does the business opportunity that you're about to get in consider those three M's right there? And I think ABS does that.
Yeah, the me, for example, is really important because it's talking about, is this something that really fits you personally? If you're thinking about starting a business, you've never owned a business before, would this be something that you enjoy doing? In other words, sitting at your computer at home and submitting these claims to the insurance companies for doctors. We show you how to sign up the doctors as clients. And once you've got a doctor as a client, you've got them forever. I mean, unless the doctor, keels over dead from a heart attack or something, that doctor will be your client for a long, long time. And they all know other doctors. So that's how your business will grow. It goes through referrals. Eric, I've interviewed people who've said to me, Patrick, I didn't do anything that you told me to do except just go out and get my first client. And then it just grew from there. And now they've got, 20, 50, 100 doctors as clients. So it can grow very fast. And then the market, that's pretty important too. Eric, talk about that just for a second.
Yeah, well, in any business opportunity that's out there, you got to make sure that there's a correct market. Is the market large enough that you can go and expand, that it doesn't seem like it's so saturated? And Patrick,
Yes,
one of the first things that I've heard, I was just going to say, over your 27 years, you've heard, haven't you saturated the market yet? And we're here, you're still here 27 years later.
That's the amazing thing is my wife and I actually already in the early years when we started doing medical billing back in the early 90s, actually late 80s. I'm dating myself here, aren't I? But we got to talking about it and said, honey, do you think we're going to be able to do this for very long? Because back then, doctors were filing all their claims on paper. They literally printed it out, stuck it in an envelope, mailed it in, and hoped that the insurance company got it and paid them. And when we were doing that, we thought, well, eventually all doctors are going to figure out that this can be done electronically over the internet by uploading the claims and not having to mess with the paper. Well, that happened, but the doctors decided it was way too much, way too involved. And so a lot of doctors have learned that it's better to just outsource this to somebody who knows what they're doing, and they focus on what's their core competency, which is helping patients.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, the market, Eric, is as long as there's new people being born and doctors graduating from the colleges, there's always going to be a need for somebody to do this either for the doctors or the doctors have to figure it out for themselves. And believe me, they would rather turn it over to somebody who's an expert.
You bet. Well, the last M before we get started with all the rest of what we're going to try to talk about this afternoon is the money. Can you justify starting a business with the potential returns? And we're going to show you those returns here in just a moment. But can those returns outweigh your upfront investment? That's always critical when you get started.
Yeah, the return on investment. And like you said, Eric, we're going to show that here in just a little while. But folks, let me just give you a preview. The license fee that I mentioned earlier, the $28,000, that sounds like a lot of money, and it is. I know to a lot of people that's a chunk of change. You might have to put that on 2 or 3 credit cards, to be able to purchase the license. But once you've invested that, to get a return, you're going to see, we're going to show it to you, we're going to prove it to you here a little bit later with some figures. All you need is one client.
One
That's
client.
right. One doctor. If there's one doctor in your entire area, let's say you go out 40, 50 miles from where you live, that's your marketing area. If you can find one doctor, you can earn back that $28,000 in your first year.
You bet. Now, folks, let's talk about a couple of things, what you can do on today's webinar. First of all, you can go over to the handouts and download the slide decks of what we're going through this afternoon. So go ahead and download those. They're in a PDF. Patrick also put another handout there called Online Training Outlines. So you're going to want to download both of those and then the PDF of the slide deck. The second thing that you're going to want to do after you download that and you print it out if you'd like to is ask us questions. I'm going to be monitoring the question box. So if there's a particular question about a particular subject that we're talking about at the moment, please ask your question. Because you're going to find out we've already said that it's going to take us about an hour to get through. We're already, 50 minutes left in the whole presentation. There's a lot that we're going to be covering, and so you're not going to want to miss anything. So make sure you get your questions asked. So that's what you're going to want to do. So Patrick, one of the things you've got here is that ABS has a complete system. What does that mean, a complete system?
Well, there are companies who put things together like just pieces of one software developed here, another piece of software that does this. You've got electronic medical records. You've got the actual filing of the claims software, practice management software, and then you've got all kinds of other things that they've plugged in together. Maybe they've even gone to an outsourcing open source software and plugged into that. Ours was all developed by the same team of developers. So we've got the iClaim system, which is what you'll be using from your computer or laptop to do the actual claims filing. And then on the next slide there's the EMRX. This is the electronic medical record system that the doctor can use. It's showing it there on a computer screen, but it can be used even on an iPad. So when the doctor's visiting with the patient, they're actually looking at this system, touching a few buttons there to put things into the system, and that goes into the billing system that's on the back end that I just talked about, the iClaim system.
Yeah,
that's all in one.
Right. And then you've got a clearinghouse. Now this is getting to be a little bit technical here, Patrick. What is a clearinghouse?
I wish I knew. I just put this slide up there because we had it in our, no, let me just say this, Eric. This is just to illustrate, we're going to get into this more in depth, the clearinghouse. So for now, just remember, there is a third-party entity software that's used. Once you've sent the claim to the clearinghouse, a third party, they then scrub it clean, make sure everything's filled out the way it should be, and then forward it on to the insurance companies. So we have that built into our system.
Yeah, that's built in. And then we have patient portal, which again, the patient can check in, pay balances, make appointments, get medication refills, as you can see here, review medical records, message the doctor, have communication. And folks, this is the same portal in which the doctor and the patient can have a telemedicine visit. So folks, everybody understands what telehealth is by now because of the COVID pandemic that we've been under for the last year. You know that that's there and it's been popular. But Patrick, we were doing telehealth medicine way before COVID. A lot of our doctors were already utilizing this, so they really didn't skip a beat whenever that came around.
Yeah, that's all built into our system. So all these things we just talked about, those last 4 slides, that's all written by the same programmers that we lock in the same room and throw pizza and Pepsi in there every once in a while. Those are the same people. They're not all over the world in different areas and different groups of people and companies. This is all one group, and that's why it's also coherent. It all looks the same. It all feels the same, and it just works. If something goes wrong, Eric, some companies can blame another company. Oh, well, that's their problem. You need to contact them. No, the buck stops here because we created the entire thing from scratch, and that was over 20 years ago.
That's right. All right, so the next little section we're going to talk about is your return on investment, or what a lot of people would think about is, what is your ROI? Remember the 3 M's there that we talked about, me, the market, and the money. This is talking about the money. So let's talk about what's in it for you. And when Patrick mentioned to you earlier that you just need one doctor to make your return on investment. So let's kind of talk about that, Patrick.
Hey, one of our representatives is on the webinar, by the way. His name is Nevin, and he's always on these webinars giving us good feedback in the question box there, by the way. One of the statements he just made is, Patrick, all these people have to sell really is cash flow.
Right.
And that's the truth, folks, is you're not selling anything to a doctor unless it's a popsicles in the middle of the Sahara Desert. That'd be pretty easy to sell because we're talking about his money. How can we help you, doctor, increase the revenue of your practice and get the money faster in here, and it costs you less for somebody to do that outside your office, than it would be to have it done in your own office. So look at these numbers now. This came right off our website, by the way, and I think these are the standard numbers that are plugged in there, aren't they, Eric? The 5 doctors, I think. That's the average number of doctors that you'd like to have as a client.
Right. So 5 doctors sees about 20 patients a day. Obviously, folks, you know that's low. I mean, most doctors are seeing 20 patients before lunch. Open 5 days a week, and then you're charging a percentage of what they get reimbursed. So the average amount return claim of that is about $150 per claim. And again, that could be fairly low. But folks, look at what the return on investment will become with just 5 doctors. Now, obviously you're going, wow, how could I get 5 doctors and earn nearly $23,000 a month, Patrick? That's a lot of capital going on right there.
It is. And folks, we went through that pretty fast, but you can go to our website. There it is at the bottom of the screen. Don't you love how people do this, assuming that people don't know which is up and down? But down is at the bottom, right? And if you go there and click on that, I think it's up at the top, initial investment or something like that, you can go through those numbers and plug in your own numbers and see if these make sense to you. Folks, we've tried to be very conservative on these numbers. We've got people that don't have just 5 doctors, they have 50 doctors. Right. So you can do the math yourself, but look what that comes out to be on an annual basis, $273,000. Now, Eric, that's a pretty good return on an investment of $28,000, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, that's a pretty doggone good. I mean, when you're thinking about it, that's almost that's a lot of money. So you can $23,000. Yeah, you can see where that investment certainly can help you turn the corner there. Claudia is asking the question: does the system interact with Epic or MetaCity? And you know, Claudia, what you're asking about are other practice management systems and other EMR systems out there. So whenever we're talking about going in with a doctor's office, you're going to be many times replacing what they already have. Now, you don't have to do that all the time, but typically to get the returns for the particular doctor, you really need to have them on a one system, as we were talking about there, the what we call the 4 components there. The iClaim system, the EMRX system, the clearinghouse that's built in, and the patient portal. You get all of those working together and not disjointed. With like with Epic, you got to have Epic plus a different maybe practice management system and possibly even a different clearing. Well, no, definitely a different clearinghouse. So whenever you can kind of keep all of that in the middle, that's what you're working with. Very good. Well, so hopefully, Claudia, that helped answer your question there.
Yep.
You said
our position. And more generically, Eric, more generically, let me just say this, folks. If you're wondering if it interacts with other systems, generically the answer is yes. In other words, we can make things work behind the scenes between systems. The ideal is to have them all on our system. So you'll see how you can do that one step at a time, and it's not a big deal for doctors to switch and just kind of basically let them see for themselves what you can do once you start adding in our components to it, rather than what they're using now. Because some of them may be locked into a contract. They have to stay with their contract for the next year or so, and we're going to show you how to work with them in spite of that.
Yeah, and Claudia said thank you. She clearly understands. I appreciate that. Thanks, Claudia. All right, let's move on. Again, we're going to run out of time here quickly if we don't move on, Patrick. But you wanted to talk about cloud service versus server-based.
Yeah, now here's where really the rubber meets the road. When you are looking at other companies and software that's out there, and there's a lot of software that does medical billing out there on the internet, right? You've already stumbled across that if you're researching this business. You've seen 2 different types. You may not realize it. Well, one server-based, that means the software resides on a computer or a network somewhere that's distributed through those networks to other computers, or the software is actually installed right there on the computer itself. Ours is completely 100% truly cloud-based, which means you don't have to have one piece of, literally, you could go to Best Buy today and buy a brand new computer and set it up with our system. We'll give you the login and you can go and start doing medical billing without downloading anything to that new computer. That's the really cool part of this. I know this looks old-fashioned now that I look at this picture, Eric. Somebody actually puts that tray, that CD that comes in a box from these other companies now, not us, but other companies have a CD that you put in and you push it in and it installs the computer software on your hard drive inside your computer. And that is old-fashioned and it's very dangerous and it breaks all kinds of HIPAA rules and regulations too.
And you got this, you've got the potential for malware, infections, spam, and you got to deal with firewalls, and that's true. I mean, dealing with a server-based system that you may want to, again, if you're working remotely, you're going to want a cloud-based service. If you're working directly in a doctor's office and that's all you're doing billing for just a doctor, that might be okay to have a server-based system because you're kind of right there. But if you're doing multiple doctors, you're going to want to have a cloud-based system versus a soft server-based system, as we just showed there.
Right. And I ran across this on the internet because there is a company out there, Eric, that sells software on a CD to people as a part of their package, their training package, and their software that they're going to use to actually do the billing for the doctors. And you can also search for their software that they sell directly to doctors themselves under a different name. It's the same software, just rebranded. So who is your biggest competition? It's the company that sold you the system that they're trying to sell you on to do medical billing for doctors. That doesn't seem right. We just don't do that. We don't believe in that. Even their electronic health record manager is not their own software. It's a rebranded version of an open source software. That means it's just out there on the internet for anybody to use, to change any way they want to. If you go to the, I think I've got another slide that shows where that's at, openehr, I think, .org.
Yeah, let's see if I can get to it if you want me to get there real quickly.
Well, I was just going to point out that they actually say there on their site that they're looking for you to help them with donations because they want to make some updates and some changes to their software. There it is, open-emr.org. They want you to contribute to them so that they can enhance the software. Folks, that's because this doesn't cost the company anything to include this in their package that they're selling to you for several $1,000s. Their licensing fee starts at about what ours is and then goes up from there. Okay, so anyway, there's a summation of it right there. We've covered enough of that. It's all integrated. Yep.
Yep, all integrated, and it certainly looks a ton different than what you would normally would see with almost like
I couldn't help but take this screenshot of their software in the upper left-hand corner there and then compare it with our up-to-date modern cloud-based screen that you see there in the bottom right. Folks, look at the difference. If you started back like I did, Eric, back in the 90s on computers, you recognize that upper left-hand corner as the old Windows software look and feel. That's correct. Because it was written in the 90s. And of course, they update it and change it from time to time, but overall, it's still mired in old technology.
Yeah, that's correct. All right, Patrick, we're moving right along. We're going to jump right into a new area that ABS is dealing in, and tell me about this. Now we're dealing in dental billing.
Yeah, there is a market out there for dental billing. It's not as big as the medical billing, by the way. That's why we have focused on medical billing most of the time that we've been in business, Eric. As you know, that's where the money is. There are far more doctors and far more claims that are filed in the medical field than there are in dental. But there is a market, so we just recently added dental billing. And so if you're wondering about that and you want to know more about it, yes, if you just happen to know a dentist and you want to start with dental, we can get you started with that. It's a completely different type of software, as you can see, because you got illustrations and pictures of all the teeth and so forth. So it's a little bit different, but it's still a market that's out there that some people have asked about. And we said, okay, why not we just add that to our package? We did that recently, Eric, and we went up on the price. Nothing. When we add new services, we just add them in there. And for the people who already paid us, they get them too. Oh, they don't have to buy anything extra. No.
It's
a
good.
One-time, lifetime fee. It really is.
Right. All right. So another thing that really kind of separates American Business Systems from some others is the training. So let's kind of dive into the training and what are you doing differently now with training than you did before?
Well, we started this actually in the latter part of 2019. Before the COVID hit early last year, we said, why don't we just go to a virtual model? Let's just do it all online. We have the ability to do that. We have the technology to do that. We were flying people down here for a whole week. They stayed in a hotel here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and sat in a classroom all day long. Well, that's old hat. We don't need to do that. You can go through this training, folks, as this couple is here in the comfort of their home, on a laptop, a desktop, even an iPad like she's got in her hands there. And our instructors are on the other end teaching you live. I'm talking about just like Eric and I are live today talking to you. We're using the same technology to train you so that you can ask all the questions you want and not have to worry about anybody else in the class. There is nobody else in the class but you and whoever else you want to invite to it, of course.
Now, this is interesting. You've got 10 modules here, and I think what I remember for those that hopefully everybody will stay towards the end, we're actually going to go into a little bit more depth next Wednesday on all this, but tell us about all these different modules that you've got going on, Patrick.
Yeah, I'm kind of giving people just a preview here to show you how in-depth this is. Each one of these modules, by the way, takes about 90 minutes to go through online with your own personal instructor. And I failed to point out that, Eric, the difference between us and other companies have people who might do some over-the-phone teaching, but they don't use the technology that we use to do it all live with an instructor who is actually an actual business owner. These people have been through our training, and they're actually making money with our system. And we pay them, of course, then on the back end to turn around and train other people. So there's the big difference there is these are people who know what they're doing. They've proven that they know what they're doing because they've gone out and built a very profitable business. These are some of our trainers and what we call coaches that can help people one-on-one with whatever they need to get their business up and running. Folks, we make money after you get involved in the business as well on the back end. And so we want you to be successful. That's why we pay these people to teach you. It's a great system we've got lined up there for people.
Absolutely. And Victoria said, wow, that's great. Whenever it came down to, I saw that she popped that in there whenever she said that we were talking about, we do all of our training online, because it's a little bit more flexible than having to kind of arrange your schedule and try to work out getting here. Now, not taking anything away from the live training that we used to have, which was great, but there's so much more flexibility. Again, you don't have to worry about getting on an airplane or getting a hotel or making sure you got the time off to be able to do that. It's all working for you now.
And by the way, you schedule that. We let you schedule that with your instructor. One-on-one, you get together and you actually talk about, well, what would be a good time for you? So you set the schedule up according to your schedule, whether it's in the daytime, the evening, the weekends, whatever it takes. We're going to work with you to get you through that training as quickly as you want to get through it. We've had people go through that training, Eric, in 2 weeks' time, all 10 modules. So they are really, really, wanting to get going. You can take as long as you wish to. Some people just go it, take a whole month to go through it, or 2 months even, and that's fine too. It depends on your family and life situation.
Absolutely. And folks, again, if you got some questions, you got any comments you want to make, feel free to put those in the question box. We're looking at those. Again, we're about halfway through the webinar this afternoon. We got about 30 more minutes. So let's get on into marketing, Patrick. Kind of tell us a little bit about what you teach and what you do in marketing.
Well, here's the scary part for anybody starting a business, and that is, how do I get that first client? No matter what business it is, right? Even a sandwich shop, you sit there waiting for that first customer to walk through the door to buy your sandwiches. Folks, we have switched completely from some of the methods we were teaching a year and a half ago to online digital type marketing. The reason we've done that is because, of course, of the COVID and everything that's going on with that. But folks, even that's going to be phasing away, and we'll be going back into some other stuff. So you can do what we call direct marketing to the doctor's offices, leaving brochures. You don't even have to talk to them. You just leave something with them. We even have a book, by the way, that is written by a Dr. Vicki Ratner that you can partner with. That is, you put your name on the front cover of that book as if you have written the forward. Now, you can write the forward, but we've got one that's already written that's pretty generic. You can just put your name on there, and boy, talk about credibility, Eric. Nobody that I know of in this business has the credibility that our licensees, our business owners have with Dr. Vicki Ratner. She's very famous. You can Google her right now if you want to and find out all about Dr. Vicki Ratner. You'll see that she helps other people in business to connect with doctors because she is a retired general surgeon.
That's right. Right, absolutely. Tell us about this group called MyRMA. How does this group MyRMA play in with ABS?
Well, I mentioned earlier that once you've gone through our training, we give you a certificate that shows that you are a certified medical revenue manager. And that's what MyRMA is. It's an organization that consists of some of the people that you'll see here on the next slide. I think this is our National Board of Directors. And you'll see, folks, that this advisory board is made up of some of the leaders in this industry. And they're the ones that certify you as having been, through our training, and now you're certified to go out and do what you do for the doctors. So it's a wonderful organization. It's a wonderful resource for doctors. Even doctors, you can send them to that site and they can go out there and browse on it. We have a blog there, and other materials that they can look at as well.
You bet. All right, now we're going to move in change a little bit of gear to start talking about all the different services, all the different service lines that you have. It was kind of funny when we were having live training, and we would ship you boxes. A lot of people would say, "Hey, when are those white boxes going to be coming to my house?" Well, folks, you're not going to get any white boxes. You'll get some brown boxes, but no white boxes. This is just to explain to you.
It's illustrating, though, Eric, that
Exactly.
we've come up with other services that you can offer to doctors to open the doors. Sometimes they don't want to talk to you about their billing. They think they've got it under control, right? They don't understand that they do have a problem. You can show them that they probably have a problem if they let you do a practice analysis with them. But if not, all of these things that you see on the screen here, we came up with over the years because other licensees would come to us and say, well, this doctor says he has a problem with coding. Do you have any way to help him with his codes? Well, that's code right there in the bottom right-hand corner. We've come up with all these services based on the real needs of real doctors over the last 27 years, and you make money on all of them. And this is all a part of our system, folks. Look, there are companies who break their system down into here's the software. Now, would you like these services? Do you need some training? How about support? How many users do you need? We don't do that, folks. We have a one-time, lifetime, one fee, that $28,000. And that's all you ever pay. Even if we added another dozen services, you would not pay one extra penny. Why? Because we as a company make money on all these things. See, it's the American way. We make money, you make money. That's the American way.
There you go. Patrick, we're going to be, excuse me, we're going to look at a new area that really, this is where I say American Business Systems really takes a turn away from any other business opportunity out there. I know, like Patrick said, there's another company that kind of does some things similar to what ABS does. They have some server-based software, and but I don't think they've got anything like what we're about to talk about here, which is a great industry right smack dab in the revenue cycle management area, and that's virtual care.
Virtual care. In other words, taking care of patients virtually. They don't have to come in the office. The doctor does not have to see them in person. And this has been such a hot thing, Eric, that we've got licensees they are dying to get out there and start marketing this. And as you know, we're just now rolling this out for our licensees. So any of you who are on here today that join us, of course, you're going to get this as a part of your package as well. But let me just put it this way, Eric. We already know, you and I, that there's going to be more money made with this service than there even is with the billing, probably.
Yeah, it could be. It could overrun what you could actually make in the billing side of it. And truly, with virtual care medicine, we're talking about it's beyond what we think of as telehealth, folks. We're moving past what you think of as, oh, I can log in, sure, I can see my doctor online, but we're talking about monitoring people's health at home via certain devices that can be monitored. Let's say that you've got an elderly patient or an elderly parent that you want to make sure that their blood sugar's right or their blood pressure's right. Any of that stuff can be done through virtual care, and more and more doctors are seeing that. And it got kind of launched here with the pandemic, because telehealth was, I call it phase one, but the second wave of telehealth is everything that's happening with virtual care. Because obviously the first part, when the COVID hit, the doctors needed a way just to see their patients without them having to come to the office. The second wave of that is, again, this whole thing about virtual care. So Patrick, we can run through some of these numbers here. There's two major areas of which ABS is concentrating on, and that's what's called chronic care management and remote patient monitoring. Those are two separate things there. But just show you how much more money if a doctor had just 250 patients that they were seeing. I mean, look at the money that you can help that doctor generate in a yearly income. Now, you're already going to help the doctor with their billing, because you're going to help them find lost revenue, add more cash to what they're doing. But then what if you could go to the doctor and say, look, I can possibly add another $250,000 in revenue, and I'm not even doing your bill.
And Eric, the fantastic part about this is that it's us and our partners, who do all of this monitoring of the patients for the doctor. The doctor literally just signs up for this, and it just takes off and runs. And I think the next slide shows even some money that can be made for our licensees. But folks, download the slide. We don't have time to go into this in detail, Eric, so let's let them download the slides over there in the handout section, and you can zoom in on these slides and really study these. We've gone into detail on this, by the way, a couple of webinars ago. So,
yeah, you bet. Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask you one more question, Patrick, before we do. What was the cost to get in on with ABS?
$28,000.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to. Yeah, because look what you can earn with one doctor that's seeing 250 patients a year.
And you're not doing anything either, by the way. This is passive income. Passive income of another $37,000 a year per doctor that you sign up on this, folks. You're just not going to, Eric, I almost feel like taking this service out of our package and selling it as a separate opportunity, because there's that kind of money that can be made with this. But we're gonna give it to everybody who's joining us here, at least until I pull it out.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So yeah, be sure and ask your ABS rep, the person who sent you the email to this, folks. You know, have I got in time to get the virtual care? Virtual care is what it's called. Okay, I just put these slides in a little bit about this clearinghouse, Eric, and you asked again what the clearinghouse was, so I didn't go into detail with it earlier, but why don't you kind of explain that to people, what that is?
Patrick mentioned earlier that there's a clearinghouse that sits between a billing system and the insurance payers, and you got to have some way to connect that. So just think of the clearinghouse as this connection portal. 90%, 95% of all of the software that's out there, if not 99% of all the software out there, has to go through what's called a third-party clearinghouse. So again, they check for errors, but imagine that clearinghouse sitting inside of your billing software. That's the difference. I mean, we've already been talking about several differences here about ABS. This is one of those unique differences that helps you to lower those claims that are getting rejected and getting those reimbursements back within 5 to 7 days, really, what we're seeing, simply because of having and owning your own clearinghouse to connect you there.
Well, and we also reduce the rejection rate, from an average of say 20 or 30% in most doctors' offices with most billing software. We reduce that down to less than 2% rejection. Folks, that means that the initial claims that are sent in that are denied by the insurance companies, there's a percentage of those that are always denied. Ours is less than 2% nationwide. Yeah, Eric, here, this is an actual slide put out by one of our competitors that talks about how theirs works. It's similar to what we see here. But notice the clearinghouse is involved in that. Now, in the next slide, we illustrate that we have something similar to that, but our clearinghouse is built into the system. Now, we've just illustrated by putting that building in there, but it's actually a part of our system. So when you push a button, this doesn't go to a clearinghouse. Our claims go directly to the insurance payers, bypassing the clearinghouse because we've already cleared it ourselves. So if there is a problem with it, we solve it. That's why we can keep it less than 2%, Eric, because we're in charge of it. The buck stops here.
Yeah, because whenever, and again, you can see that when you submit a claim, it's not going to a third-party clearinghouse. It's actually going directly to the insurance companies, directly from your system. So you can't get better, support and claims getting paid than if you're going directly to the insurance company. So when you're looking at that, folks, if you're working and thinking about working with a different group, ask them about their clearinghouse, and they say, oh yeah, they're going to want you to let you go pick your own. They're going to say that that's a better thing than what maybe ABS has because you can't go pick your own clearinghouse. Folks, we don't want to pick our own clearinghouse. We want the clearinghouse we have to do what it's going to do. It just works. It's kind of like driving away from going to pick up your car, and you have to go get a third-party transmission so that you can get the car down the road. That's
yeah. Right. Victoria says here in the question logs, Victoria says, well, it's something like the Federal Reserve Bank. That's right, Victoria. Yeah. It's real similar to that. Okay, Eric, man, we're going to have to move right on through. Why don't we talk about support? Some of the differences between us and other support companies is that we have hundreds of people literally from coast to coast that can support our licensees. This is one of the offices, just one of the offices on the West Coast, and then we have one on the East Coast as well, and all in between. And these are people who are dedicated to helping our licensees succeed, what we call our partners. By the way, one of our competitors, actually, I took this right out of their agreement. You can see right there that their support is ongoing technical support for only $12.95 per year. So Eric, not only do you pay them a license fee up front as well, just like they do to us, but they don't have lifetime support like we do. Ours is lifetime, folks. That means you never pay another dime to us. And this company, as you see, has a big fee there. Oh, by the way, Eric, I didn't have time to do this either, but let's just put it this way. What you're looking at is a picture of our licensee support site that we put up about 12 or 15 years ago. And folks, this has dozens and dozens of documents and all kinds of goodies on there that you will not have with any other company, because nobody else has something like this. You can log into this 24/7 with your own login that we give to you, and it is just packed with stuff. The next slide, Eric, shows some of the training slides and videos that we've posted on this site and that are on our YouTube channel as well. There's the YouTube channel right there, youtube.com/YABS. But folks, right, there are dozens and dozens of webinars that are available to you as a licensee. So even though you have 10 modules of about 90 minutes each, what is that, 15 hours of training? That's the initial training. Then you have this in-depth training that's behind the scenes that you'll have access to too.
Now, shortly right after this slide here that you've got, started talking about, the expectation of where medical billing is going to be going. It looks like we've got a lot of projected growth here between at least now and 2028.
Yeah, this is a website called healthleaders.com. And as you can see, the headline on this article that just came out is National Health Spending Growth Projected at 5.4% annually through 2028. In other words, Eric, there is no end to the growth in the health sector. If you're looking at getting into a business, folks, health or food, now if you want to start a restaurant, that's a whole different story right there, and a lot more money. But in today's world, I'd say bet on the thing that you know is going to be around. And there's a quote from it. The CMS, Sean Keenan, says, as it has over the past several decades, healthcare spending is expected to grow on average more rapidly than the rest of the economy. There's nothing like it. We're in the right place at the right time, Eric.
Absolutely. And you've already talked a little bit about being a certified medical revenue manager, and then being part of MyRMA, and then you mentioned earlier also a certification that they're getting. They're going to become a certified medical revenue manager. So it's beyond, again, just medical billing. Right.
And we also mentioned the licensee support side. Here's a little list. And again, I encourage you to download the slides and read this, folks. Here's what's on the licensee support side. Over 300 business documents that we've spent hundreds of dollars developing, and a lot of other stuff.
Yep, there you go.
Anyway, go take a look at all that, yeah.
Not trying to rush you there. I know that we're trying to still get a lot in there, but you mentioned there access to a physician partner. You've already mentioned about Dr. Vicki Rackner, and again, all the different things that she's been a part of and the books that she's written, even though that she's helped, co-author a book with you for the New Thriving Medical Practice. She actually has this other one out there called The Myth of the Rich Doctor. And Patrick, talk about what she says in this particular book.
Yeah, now remember, this is a book, of course, that you can use as part of your marketing. That doctors just eat this up, Eric. They love this because in their minds, they were told they were going to be rich, and some of them don't consider themselves rich. So thus, the myth of the rich doctor, you're hearing from another doctor, Dr. Vicki Rackner, who says it's a myth. And here's one of the quotes from her book. Physicians in private practice can take away from an average of 30% of their incomes. They walk away from an average of 30% of their incomes when they do not follow up on rejected insurance claims. Remember, we mentioned that earlier. Outsourcing your medical billing could bring claim rejection rates to as low as 2 to 5%. That's because that's what ours is. This may be the fastest and easiest way to increase your cash flow. Now, this is from one doctor to another, and Eric, there's all kinds of quotes like this in this book that helps in marketing to doctors because, we're experts as a company. You, when you first start with us, are not quite the expert, but you've got experts like Dr. Vicki Rackner backing you up.
Right, absolutely. And then the co-authored book that you mentioned earlier, now this is the sample of the forward that goes in the book, and you were mentioning that the certified medical revenue manager, which is one of our ABS licensees, actually can write the forward, whether they can use the one that you've already got pre-written there and add a few other things they want to do, or rewrite the whole thing.
Sure. And then at the bottom, you can't see that, it's kind of tiny, but you can actually put your name, your company name, your phone number, your web address, all right there inside the book. So this makes a wonderful marketing tool, Eric. Our licensees get a supply of these books, of course, with their package, but they can also reorder any amount of them that they want at $4 a copy. Now that's for a paperback book that sells for $24.95 on Amazon. And with their name on the front cover, it's an incredible marketing tool. We spend a lot of time and money putting that together, and we're the only company that has that, of course.
You bet. Now you got this one with some tabs on it. What does that mean? Is this book already tabbed out?
Well, part of our training is to show you how to go through on certain pages, highlight certain things for the doctors, and then put these little sticky tabs. When you hand a book to a doctor or mail it to them, in a lot of cases, when they get that, doctors are going, they go, what is this? And they start turning to those tabs and reading just the highlighted passages. It gets them hooked on what the book is all about. And we've had doctors actually call our licensees back up and say, hey, I got your book. I love what I see. I think I probably need that practice analysis. Why don't we get together? It's a wonderful marketing tool.
You bet. And I'm going to put this up here. I guess you've got, and if that wasn't all, you got so much more to deliver here. Let's just talk real quickly again, because we're getting ready to kind of start wrapping up with all these different slides here, Patrick. And I think we've got enough time to go through some questions. And but you've got marketing material that you've put together for the licensees. You've got books, like you said, you've got for the licensees to be able to go out there and market. There are times whenever you do specific webinars, you do a lot of training webinars for licensees to kind of get out there. Even though that you mentioned that you added the dental webinar, the dental piece to it, I think every Friday or every other Friday, you and your staff are doing some training again every week for licensees again, because you really have a passion for seeing these folks that come on board with ABS to get their first client.
Yeah, it never stops, Eric, because this is a great industry, because there is something new to learn all the time, and there are changes that are made from time to time. So we try to keep all of our people up to speed. And again, this is at no additional cost, folks. The ongoing webinars that you'll be a part of as an ABS licensee, or what we call a business owner, is all included in our package. And hey, and by the way, I'm looking at all these people that are on the webinar today: Kelly and Larry and Mia. There's a Michael, Rachel, Reginald. I see Rich and Robert and S. Spain, Sharon and Shirley and Victoria. And folks, this is a live webinar. Yes, you can actually go find the question box and type something in right now. And we're going to address that. In fact, Eric, that's what we'll do, I guess, the rest of the time here. But I just thought I'd point out that we really know that you're here. Yeah, you can't avoid it.
Yeah, absolutely.
We see you. Yeah, you're hiding behind the scenes. And some of you are playing those cat videos on YouTube. You need to cut that out.
Oh, you caught one of them. All right. So again, we're here to make those doctors look superior. And when we can help those doctors look superior, then you know that you're working with a superior group of people with ABS and or a superior software or whatever, all the different services that you have. But Patrick, there's one other thing that really kind of separates ABS from really anybody else out there, and that's the risk that you really do take. You take a risk every time that somebody signs up, Patrick. You have the risk of them asking for their money back. Why don't you talk to us about that real quickly?
Well, I'll put it this way, Eric. This keeps my staff on their toes, because we have to do a superior job, or people can just ask for all of their money back. Now, folks, listen to me very carefully. If you invest any amount of money with any company over the internet, like with us, that is offering something similar to what we're offering, and yet they don't have a money back guarantee, ask them why. Why couldn't they do what we do? We've offered this for the last, what, Eric, 5, 6, 7 years at least. And when I came up with my staff thought I was nuts. They said, well, everybody will just go through our training, get all of our materials, download all of our materials, and then just ask for the money back. Do you know less than 1% of the people who go through our training ask for money back, Eric? Why is that? Because we do what we say we're going to do, and it's real. And if it wasn't, we'd be going broke because we wouldn't keep anybody's money, right? So how do
Right.
we do that, folks? We do it because what we say is true, and it's real. And oh, I see some great comments and questions coming in now. I guess I scared everybody awake a while ago.
Yeah. Let's talk about the next step that you want everybody to take.
Yes. First, let me answer one quick question here from Michael. Thank you, Michael. He tapped in. If my wife and I did this together, do we pay 2 fees of $28,000? No, Michael, there's just one fee. The training is for one person, but if it's a spouse or a business partner, you can have them sit in on the training, no extra cost for that. And yes, we'll give them a certification as well. Good
Perfect.
question. Thank you.
There you go. I thought you were going to say yes, too. One for you and one for me.
Michael, we will take all the fees you want to give us, buddy, but we don't require but one.
Absolutely. All right, tell us about this research guide.
Okay, there is a downloadable research guide that's over 50 pages of information that you will not find on our website. Did you hear that? You have to ask for this research guide from the person who invited you to this webinar. It's called your ABS rep. If you don't know who that is, that's why we have the email address down there in the bottom and the toll-free number. You can call that right now and just say, hey, I want some things that he mentioned and I don't know how to get them. Who is my ABS rep? If you're not sure who that is, we can get that to you. Very valuable guide. You need to download that, and it's probably in all the emails that you get as well. Then we want you to browse that YouTube channel that I pointed out earlier, youtube.com/YABS. There's dozens and dozens of videos out there to watch on that. Number 3 is ask your ABS rep for an owner reference list. That's right. We've got people who've gone through our training who've said, look, if you want somebody to call me, I'll be glad to tell them how great this business is, and they will take calls. So we've got email addresses and phone calls, phone numbers of people who've been through our training. Ask for that owner reference list. Then ask for a live demo of our iClaim EMRX platform. Folks, our software does not come on a CD, as I made fun of earlier. That's old technology, so we can't send you a sample demo disc or something, but we can take you through a live demo of our system, step by step, one-on-one with you, just to answer all of your questions. So ask your ABS rep for that as well. Then the 5th step there is review the purchase agreement and the funding instructions. We'll send that to you by email. It's a very simple 4-page purchase agreement, and we'll show you how to get your funds together. If you need help with funding, we can even give you some tips on that. Then you send that agreement and funding to us, and you schedule your training. Eric, we had a new funding come in today, awesome. As we do on a regular basis, of course, here. But the point is, we will schedule your training with the people who sent theirs in today within the next day or two. And so that's your next step. That's your final step there. We'll let you do that one-on-one with your instructor that's going to be your instructor.